I was inspired to move abroad because it was always something that I was interested in doing. I ended up joining the United States Navy at the age of 17. I left home. I went to Navy boot camp. I turned 18 in boot camp, and a year later, I was living in Italy. I was very grateful for the opportunity that was afforded to me, and that's when my living abroad journey and travel journey started. I was exposed to a whole world that I didn't even know existed at the age of 18. I lived abroad for 3 years before going back to the United States. And when I lived in the United States again, something didn't feel right. You know, I was a different person. And that's when I realized that I wanted to move abroad again. I wanted to travel again because that's what my passion had became. So I moved abroad again in 2019, and I have been living outside of the United States for about 6 years straight. Hello everyone, my name is Rochelle. I was born and raised in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I am African American, living in Nairobi, Kenya. Welcome to my home. I live in Nairobi, Kenya here in an area called Syokimau, which is actually about a 30-minute drive outside of the city. I am currently living in a 4-bedroom, 4-bath luxury apartment here in Syokimau with a view of the national park. Fun fact, Nairobi is the only city in the world that has a national park inside of the city. So I really thoroughly enjoy this view of the national park. I've been living here for less than a year, so I've been decorating slowly but surely. This couch is custom made, my coffee table is custom made, as well as my dining set. I got this specially selected, and they came in and installed the TV stand with this beautiful golden background as well. And I have thoroughly enjoyed decorating this apartment. This is actually the first apartment that I have leased and decorated in about 6 years. So I really have been enjoying this process of buying plants, building custom furniture, and just slowly but surely making this apartment a home. One thing that I've enjoyed about living in this apartment is the fact that I've been able to have a little bit of a kitchen garden. I have tomatoes growing, passion fruit, herbs, basil, cilantro, even collard greens, garlic, all sorts of things, because I have always had a passion for gardening and plants. I would like to own a farm one day, but for now I just have a small garden on my balcony here in my apartment. One thing that I love about my apartment is the view of the national park. I get the opportunity to see giraffes, baboons, rhinos, antelope. I swear one time I even saw a lion. So I am just very grateful. And my favorite part about my balcony is the sunset that I get to see every evening. The sunsets are breathtaking, and it just makes it all worth it. So as I said earlier, I love plants, so I was going for like an elevated boho look, a luxury boho look. So the plants I think adds a nice touch, and I also have gold accents to kind of make it a little bit more elevated. One thing that I love about my kitchen is that it comes with a sliding door, which I had never seen before, and I think it's just such a unique feature. I also have a second balcony that overlooks my complex, so I can see the kids playing, and I can hear the kids playing all day, which I really love. I can see the park. I have a full view of the neighborhood, and so that's always an amazing touch as well. Here is my second balcony. I have an amazing view of the park and of the neighborhood here. And I'm also growing collard greens, garlic, and a lot of different herbs here as well. Here in Kenya, sometimes your employees can live in the apartments with you in what is known as just the private quarters. So I do have a house manager living with me, and her room is private. So it is 4-bedroom, 4-bath, but we're gonna show you the other 3 bedrooms here. So here is the guest bathroom. And it is just a full bathroom that we mainly use for cleaning purposes and for guests, of course. And I also have my office. which I do my makeup here, I record here, and hopefully I am looking to build a podcast studio in here as well and make it a whole creative studio. Going on to the second bedroom, it is not decorated. It's a bit anticlimactic, but I am hoping to decorate this within the next few months as well. But this is just a one bedroom with an attached bathroom. Last but certainly not least, we have my bedroom here, and I have some of my favorite plants. I wanted it to feel alive and fresh, so I wanted to implement as many plants as I possibly could. And I also got this bed, dresser, and vanity set custom made here in Kenya. I love the emerald green and the gold accents. And I also have a full view of the national park and sunsets as well, which I'm just so grateful for. And here I have my full bathroom, which this is the largest bathroom that I have had in Kenya. I've been in some very small showers, some very small bathrooms. So one of the reasons why I chose this apartment and I love this apartment is because the bathroom is even spacious. I was running towards a job opportunity. Being a medical assistant abroad was a very unique experience, but even after I left that job and I started working for myself, I wanted to move abroad again because I was looking for peace. I was looking for a place to call home that really felt like home. The United States never really felt like home for me, and I knew that there was such a big world out there for me to discover. So I wasn't really running from anything, but I was running towards peace and joy and happiness, and that's what I found over the last 13 years. I chose Kenya because I felt like Nairobi was a well-rounded metropolis that I genuinely enjoyed. I have visited Johannesburg, Cape Town, Durban. I love South Africa, and I was considering South Africa as well, but I just felt a sense of peace and safety in Nairobi that I hadn't quite experienced after visiting 16 African countries. And like I said, I feel like it's well-rounded. It has the safety, the friendliness, the somewhat affordable cost of living, and I do love West Africa. I have not traveled yet. I will be traveling this year, and I do want to immerse in West Africa as well. I just have not been yet, and I wanted to move, since it was such a big move, I wanted to move to a city that I had already visited before, and I had visited Nairobi, a few months before moving here. Yes, so I'm very fortunate to be able to work online. I'm grateful to be an entrepreneur. I have two companies, my travel brand for the culture and also my Pixel digital marketing agency. So my day starts with me waking up at about 6. I have a personal trainer. I work out at 7. I also have class. I'm learning French and guitar. So I have about a class every morning learning one of the hobbies that I'm currently learning, because I just try to keep myself busy with hobbies. And then after that, I start working on my companies as an entrepreneur. My expenditures monthly, I do have 2 employees currently. I also have a house manager who lives with me and manages the house, cleans, she helps take care of my dog, cooking, etc. And currently I am living in a 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom house about 30 minutes outside of Nairobi. So the rent is a little bit more affordable compared to living downtown, but right now my rent is 90,000 Kenyan shillings, which is approximately $700 US. I shop at local markets, but also the supermarket for food, and I also have to buy groceries for me and my house manager, so that could be upwards of about $200. And I would say my bills, my water bill, electricity, and all the utilities, it does total to less than $1,500, including everything. My rent, my employee salaries, and my basic needs. I make a little more than about $40,000 a year, and I'm able to live a comfortable life here in Kenya as well as abroad in Latin America. I was able to live a comfortable life as well, and it's very interesting because in the United States I was actually offered an opportunity to make more than $100,000 this year if I moved to New York City. But once I did the math and I really considered it and I thought about the type of lifestyle that I wanted to maintain, I turned down that opportunity because I wanted to continue living in Kenya, and I do make a comfortable amount of money to live here. But if I were to move to New York City, the cost of living would eat up, even if I was offered about $115,000, the cost of living would take most of that. And I still would be in the same predicament of trying to balance my lifestyle and my needs and my wants. So I would have been living a lower quality of life, spending more money living in New York City, even if I was making six figures, compared to the amount of money that I make here living in Kenya, living my dream life. Even if you make six figures in the United States, you're not guaranteed a high quality of life. That is the conundrum that a lot of people are faced with now. I am an entrepreneur with two brands. I have For the Culture, which is my travel lifestyle brand, and I curate cultural content, language content, street interviews, street food content. I enjoy being out in the street, immersing in cultures all around the world and sharing my experiences. I do feel like I was afforded a very unique lifestyle. I did not ask for, this life that I have been given, but I am grateful for it. And I share my experiences. Over the time, I've been able to build my social media platforms to over 120,000 followers, and that's what inspired me to launch my digital marketing agency. So I also have a digital marketing agency helping other people do what I do. I provide virtual assistant services. I provide digital services such as graphic design, website design, etc., and that is called Pixel.
Hey Web Nation family, quick question for you. If you're watching this, chances are you've been thinking about what it could take to actually relocate to Africa. Maybe to South Africa, Ghana, Kenya, or beyond. If this is you, I want to personally invite you to join the Web Nation waitlist. This is your early access to our relocation step-by-step course and even our guided tours across Africa. By joining, you'll be the first to know when new guides drop for your country of choice, and you will unlock early bird discount plus exclusive bonuses. And when we launch our tours to South Africa and Zanzibar, waitlist members get first dips before seats sells out. If you are serious about relocating, starting a business, or just experiencing Africa in a whole new way, scan the QR code on your screen if you are watching on TV, or click the link below to join the Web Nation waitlist today. Now I can't wait to see you inside. Let's get back into the video.
I would say it is eons better in a multitude of ways, even when it comes down to the fresh food and the naturally fresh and healthy diet in Kenya. That's been a big influence in my life, because even when I was living in the United States, people had told me that I was on track to be pre-diabetic. People had told me that I needed to, do things to improve my health, but it was difficult due to the poor quality of food and just the dishonest agriculture, fundamentals. And so moving to Kenya helped me live a more healthy life, because they have a very plant-based diet, very fresh fruits and vegetables. And also I feel a sense of peace here that I haven't been able to find in the United States, especially because I am a part of the majority here. So living in a black country, as a black person, it gives me a sense of peace and safety that I hadn't experienced living in the Americas. There were not a lot of huge cultural shocks, especially because I lived in Latin America for 5 years. I do tell people that I think Latin America prepared me to live in Africa in a lot of ways, because it is similar in a lot of ways, even culturally. So there weren't any huge culture shocks. It's not like I was in America yesterday and I just touched down, the next day in Africa. So I would say that is a great question, but maybe the real estate prices, because some of the real estate prices here are similar to the United States prices, or even more expensive than some apartments in the United States, and even more expensive than South Africa, because when I was considering moving to South Africa, I was comparing the prices, and Kenya does have the highest real estate prices I've seen in I would probably say most countries. majority of the people have been very welcoming. Majority of my experiences have been positive, but of course there's always the minority of just understanding how people perceive African Americans, or maybe some things that they've heard in social media or even heard growing up. I have had a lot of discussions just hearing the disconnect and hearing what people have heard about us or what they may have perceived about us. And that has been a journey, just navigating maybe the negatives or the negative experiences, but majority of the people are very welcoming, and I've been told welcome home more times than I can count. I have found a supportive community here in Kenya, which I am very grateful for. There are even Black expat communities where there are Nigerians, Haitians, Dominicans, Jamaicans, everything that you can think of. And it has been amazing being able to connect with them, even Black British people, Black Canadians. And so Nairobi is very diverse, and there's a lot of Black people from all over the world who have found their happy place here. I do feel safe living in Kenya, and I am grateful for the life that I live here. And it did take a little bit of getting used to the do's and the don'ts, you know, and things along those lines, just to ensure my safety. But once I adjusted, I did feel very safe here. The hardest adjustment for me would be adjusting to maybe a bit more of a conservative culture and making sure that I understand and learn about the culture so that I can respect it and properly assimilate without offending people or overstepping. So it is a bit more conservative here. Also, it is a very patriarchal country, which is something that was a bit to get used to, especially after living in Brazil, which is a very free-spirited and liberal culture. Even the United States can be considered somewhat liberal, especially in some states. And so adjusting to a culture that was a bit more conservative and just adjusting to the difference of cultures, the difference in communications, etc., was something that I had to adjust to. When I had first moved abroad at the age of 18, the United States Navy fully facilitated my visa, of course, and my residency visa abroad in Europe. But when it was time for me to move to Mexico alone, I realized that there was a lot of bureaucracy behind the scenes that I had no knowledge of, and it was time for me to do all that by myself. So I ended up getting a residency visa from Mexico, a one-year residency visa, which was fairly straightforward and easy. And then I was a resident in Brazil, and I had a digital nomad visa, which again was fairly, it was a more expensive, but still fairly affordable and a fairly simple process. And then I am currently a resident in Kenya here. And this has been almost a complete opposite experience. It's been very difficult and very expensive. I have spent over $1,200 US getting residency here, and it was not easy even to find a trustworthy person to facilitate my visa, unfortunately, because you do need either an immigration specialist or a lawyer to file your visa, or else it will not be processed efficiently or accurately. So there were a lot of loopholes and a lot of trial and error getting residency on the continent. Unfortunately, it was significantly more difficult compared to Latin America or Europe, but I made it. Yes, what did I wish that I knew before moving to Kenya? I wish that I had saved a bit more money, because I did underestimate how much it would cost to actually get settled in here. When I had first moved to Nairobi, my money just started disappearing. I had encountered some housing issues, and yeah, my money just started disappearing very quickly. So save more money than you ever think you're going to even need. Be prepared for high real estate costs, especially as a foreigner who may not have access to some of the units that locals have access to and know of. Also, be prepared for the residency process, the expensive cost, and the navigating the process of finding a lawyer or even an immigration specialist, which is mandatory. Also, I wish that I had known about the high cost of entry, even to register your business in Kenya. Foreigners need $100,000 US in capital, which was something that I was not aware of. So things like that, the cost of the residency, the ease of doing business and living here and getting settled down here is not resources that I had seen in a lot of people's videos. So that was things that I had to learn the hard way on my own. And I'm grateful for the communities that I found here that have helped me throughout the way. Would I ever consider moving back to the U.S.? Honestly, I don't know what the future holds, but I know that now I do feel like I am home, and Kenya is my home base. I'm permanently living in Africa. I would say the only reason I would move back to the United States is to pursue my doctorate's degree. That is one thing that I have thought about in the near future. I am a full-time student currently, pursuing my bachelor's, and when it is time to pursue my doctorates, I'm not sure what the future will hold. Hopefully I'm able to find a program that works for me here in Kenya or even on the continent. But if I do pursue my doctorate's degree, that's probably the only reason why I would move back to the United States. What advice would I give to someone who wants to repatriate? I would say that Africa is the future, and there is a reason why so many people are choosing to live here of all races. There are Europeans and Asians and Indians who come here and thrive. And so why not the African diaspora come here and reconnect with their African roots? It is time. It is take a little bit of courage and a little bit of adjustment, but it is well worth it at the end of the day. I've been living here for a year, and I can say that I am thriving after a bit of trial and error. It is 100% worth the risk and worth the move. I would tell my past self to stop procrastinating, come to Africa, because it is going to make you feel like a whole new person, and you are going to embark on a journey that takes you to new heights that you never even knew you could reach. And I would just tell myself that it's time, and it's time to discover the truth for yourself, not the truth that the media likes to portray in the West, which is not the truth at all. Africa is beautiful. Africa is very diverse. Africa is the future, and Africa is where I belong. In the next 5 years, I see myself fully established with my digital marketing agency and my brand for the culture, and I see myself thriving on the continent. I do see myself being a graduate, pursuing my master's degree hopefully, and on my way to my doctorate's degree. I see myself having a house. I would like to have a house and a farm, and having a homestead, which has always been my dream. So that is where I see myself making an impact in the world, finding avenues to give back to the local community, and continuing immersing myself in the local community, continuing to provide jobs and hire Kenyans, hire people on the continent as well as my business grows. The final message that I have to the people is, don't be scared to take a risk. Don't be scared to pursue your dreams. Don't be scared to do it alone. And sometimes you do have to do it scared. I am here living in Kenya because I took the risk, and I did it scared, and I did it with anxiety, and I did it not knowing if it was even going to work. But I made the decision to take the risk and to make my decisions right, even if every decision was not the right decision. And that is the mentality that you have to have when it comes to pursuing a bigger and better life for yourself.